Chapter 928. The mountain river diagram glowed and expanded rapidly, wrapping around the golden tiger. The golden tiger roared and struggled, but the mountain river diagram glowed and it could not break free. It really works! Lu Ming was delighted. This was a temporary use that he had thought of. The mountain river diagram was a grotto heaven treasure that contained a world. Naturally, it was sturdy and indestructible. If the golden tiger was entangled, it should not be able to break free. Sure enough, the effect was very good. The golden tiger was trapped. Luoli, let's see who can help you now! The 9 dragons' eyes emitted a ferocious light as they pounced on the little demon lord, using the 9 dragons' heaven stomp. Bam! Bam! The little demon lord was no match for it and kept retreating. The bone spurs on his body were broken, his flesh and blood splattered, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Go, go! The little demon lord was scared and wanted to escape, but the 9 dragons had completely blocked his escape route. How could he escape? Poochie! Then, the little demon lord screamed as one of his arms was torn off by the 9 dragons. The huge demonic creature shrank rapidly and turned back into the little demon lord. At this time, his face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Die! The huge dragon claw grabbed at the little demon lord. No, no, Lu Ming, you can't kill me! My big brother is the demon lord Luo Tian, 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. If you kill me, my big brother won't let you go! The little demon lord shouted as he desperately tried to resist. Ridiculous! Weren't you very arrogant before? Now that you've lost, you bring up your big brother. What a good-for-nothing! Lu Ming scolded coldly. The dragon claw did not stop. Bam! The little demon lord screamed as a huge wound appeared on his body. Blood flowed out, and his aura became even weaker. On the other side, the golden tiger roared and emitted a bright golden light. Unfortunately, it was useless as it could not break through the mountain river diagram. Chi-chi! The dragon claw continued to descend and slammed into the little demon lord's chest, sending him flying into the wall of a palace. The palace did not move, but the little demon lord's entire body crackled with the sound of bones breaking. He then fell to the ground, unable to move like a dead fish. Lu Ming transformed into his human form and stepped forward, stepping on the little demon monarch's face. A long spear appeared in his hand and he pressed it against the little demon monarch's heart. No, no, don't kill me! The little demon lord was incomparably terrified. His entire body went cold as he felt the god of death approach. He had never been so scared before. Ever since he was young, he had been the pride of the heavens. His elder brother, Luo Tian, was even more terrifyingly talented. He was almost invincible. They had been taken into the Di Tian Imperial Guard since they were young and had been nurtured meticulously. He had never been so close to death before. He had never been so afraid before. He had always been the one killing others. When had others ever been able to kill him? Those who ranked higher than him on the list of top 1,000 talents had to give him face because his elder brother was Luo Tian. But now, Lu Ming's murderous intent was incomparably cold. He was completely unafraid that his elder brother would kill him. If I don't kill you, why didn't you consider letting my talisman puppet sect disciples go when you killed them? Lu Ming sneered and looked down at the little demon monarch. The little demon monarch was speechless. In his heart, those talisman puppet sect disciples were all trash. How could they compare to him? But how could he say such a thing out loud? Lu Ming, my elder brother, Luo Tian, is invincible and ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. His combat strength is far beyond your imagination. No matter how talented you are no match for my elder brother. You'd better let me go. Otherwise, no one will be able to save you. The little demon monarch continued to use his elder brother, hoping to deter Lu Ming. Bam! Lu Ming stomped hard on the little demon king's face. The little demon king's face slammed hard on the ground. A few of his teeth fell out, and blood flowed from his mouth. Ridiculous! No matter how strong Luo Tian is, He's only ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Not counting the Demon Clan, there are 9 humans who are stronger than him. How can he be invincible? Also, is your elder brother comparable to D? Even D wants to catch me, but I'm still fine. What do you mean no one will be able to save me? If your elder brother comes, I'll kill him. Lu Ming sneered and his killing intent intensified. Lu Ming, stop! At this moment, a figure appeared in a small alley. It was Brotherly Tian. Ah, Brotherly Tian, save me, save me! Seeing Brotherly Tian, the little demon monarch screamed desperately. It doesn't matter who you call. Die! As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming thrust his long spear and pierced the little demon monarch's heart. The little demon monarch let out a hysterical scream. His eyes bulged, filled with unwillingness and resentment. Bam! The long spear shook and vital essence exploded, crushing the little demon monarch's heart. The little demon monarch died. At the entrance of the alley, Brotherly Tian's expression was ugly. He turned around and left. In a flash, he disappeared into the alley. Brotherly Tian was very clear that his combat strength was at most a little higher than the little demon monarch's. If they fought, he was most likely not a match for Lu Ming, so he simply left. Lu Ming glanced in the direction Brotherly Tian left, and didn't chase. Instead, he waved his hand and put away the little demon monarch's storage ring. Then, he walked towards the golden tiger. Ah, don't kill me! The golden tiger screamed in horror and struggled with all its might. Seeing the little demon monarch being killed in front of him, he was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Boom! Lu Ming clenched his fist and punched the golden tiger's head. Bam! The golden tiger couldn't resist and was heavily punched. It immediately felt dizzy and felt that its head was about to shatter. Stars appeared in its eyes. Nest, this tiger's head is too hard. It didn't die after a punch. Lu Ming was also startled. He was well aware of how terrifying his punch was. But the fact that it didn't shatter the tiger's head surprised Lu Ming. No, don't kill me. I admit defeat. I surrender. I recognize you as my big brother. I beg you, please let me go. The golden tiger shook its head and began to loudly beg for mercy. Its cries were incomparably miserable. Lu Ming, I'm begging you. I have an 80-year-old mother and a 3-year-old child. I'm begging you. Please spare me. From now on, you're my elder brother. I'll definitely be grateful to you. The ferocious golden tiger continued to roar. Lu Ming was stunned. This golden tiger was also a weirdo. Nonsense, I see that your young energy is abundant. You clearly haven't lost your virginity, so where did this 3-year-old child come from? Lu Ming's eyes turned and he reprimanded. That's a child I picked up from a barren mountain. Every word is true. The golden tiger's eyes turned and he continued to talk nonsense. All right, don't talk nonsense in front of me. You can surrender if you want, but relax your mind. I want to engrave a formation in your mind. Otherwise, I won't be at ease and will have to kill you. You contain 50% of the divine beast's bloodline. The tiger's penis is also a great tonic. Having said that, Lu Ming stole a few glances behind the golden tiger. The golden tiger felt cold all over and couldn't help but clamp its hind legs together. Engrave the formation. The golden tiger hesitated. He knew very well that if the formation was engraved, he would truly become Lu Ming's slave. Chapter 929. He had 50% of the bloodline of a divine beast, and he had a bright future ahead of him. He did not want to die just like that. At the thought of being killed by Lu Ming and becoming his food, he felt chills all over his body. As for his backbone, he had lived for so long and didn't know what it was. Saving his life was the most important thing in his heart. Therefore, he only pondered for a moment before nodding repeatedly. Okay, I agree. Carve the formation and you'll be my big brother in the future. After saying that, there was a pitiful look in his eyes. However, he was burly, had a wide mouth, and was filled with a ferocious aura. How could he look pitiful at all? Relax your mind and don't resist at all. After saying that, Lu Ming began to carve the formation. The soul-splitting formation. Lu Ming had once used this formation to control Wang Haoxian. Soon, the formation was formed and sank into the head of the golden tiger. Soul-splitting formation. As long as I use my mind, your soul will be torn apart. If it's light, you'll become an idiot. If it's heavy, you'll die on the spot. Do you want to try its effect? Lu Ming put away the mountain river diagram and looked at the golden tiger. The golden tiger's eyes rolled and he said, No need, no need. You're an expert of the talisman puppet sect and proficient in the Tao of inscription. I naturally believe in you. Big brother, you'll be my big brother in the future. The golden tiger transformed into a human. He was a burly young man with strong muscles all over his body. His arms were thicker than Lu Ming's thighs. Get lost, who's your big brother? Lu Ming berated. Okay, not big brother but boss. You're my boss. The golden tiger immediately nodded and bowed. Lu Ming's expression became better and he said, What's your name? I'm called King Kong. How about it? Isn't this name mighty? As he spoke, the muscles on King Kong's body kept twitching. Mighty, indeed mighty. You'd better transform into your beast form and be my mount for this period of time, Lu Ming instructed. Be your mount? King Kong widened his eyes and revealed a ferocious expression. Who was he? He was a demon prodigy with 50% divine beast bloodline. Thousands of demons would bow down to him. Now Lu Ming was asking him to be his mount? His anger soared to the sky. What? You want to test the power of the soul-splitting array? Lu Ming looked at King Kong with an unfriendly gaze. Jin Gang immediately admitted defeat and lost all of his imposing manner. He grinned and said, No, how can that be? It's my honor to be able to become your mount. With that, he transformed into a ferocious golden tiger. He was 3 meters tall and 6 meters long. His entire body was covered in golden hair, without any impurities. His hair was as smooth and soft as silk. Needless to say, this fellow's appearance was not bad. Although King Kong looked honest on the surface, he was cursing in his heart. I'll endure it. I'll endure it for now. When the Battle of Providence is over, I'll go out and find a way to crack that array. I'll definitely cut this brat into pieces to relieve my heartache. Thinking of this, King Kong's eyes revealed a trace of ferocity. This fellow seems to be honest on the surface. If I don't teach him a lesson, he might stab me in the back. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer. Suddenly, with a thought, the power of the soul-splitting array erupted. King Kong screamed and let out an earth-shattering roar, rolling on the ground. What's going on? What's going on? Why am I suddenly in so much pain? It hurts, it hurts. King Kong kept roaring and rolling on the ground. After a while, Lu Ming stopped controlling the soul-splitting array. King Kong lay on the ground weakly with his tongue hanging out, looking exhausted. Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally triggered the soul-splitting array that I engraved in your mind. Are you all right? Lu Ming pretended to be surprised. Was it you just now? King Kong looked at Lu Ming with incomparable resentment. I'm sorry, it was an accident. Speaking of which, did I activate the soul-splitting array because you were cursing me in your heart just now? Lu Ming looked at King Kong with a faint smile. King Kong wailed in his heart. He finally knew the power of the soul-splitting array. This time, he was extremely honest and shouted, Boss, I'm innocent. From now on, I'll be loyal to you. Well, that's more like it. Lu Ming patted King Kong's huge head. King Kong's combat strength was not bad. It would be helpful to him if he kept it. Let's go and have a look elsewhere. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming took the lead and stepped out. Buzz! They had not taken a few steps when suddenly, an invisible wave came from the depths of the palace. At the same time, the entire palace complex trembled slightly. Buzz! Buzz! Then, the wave became more and more intense, and the nearby palace complex trembled more and more violently. It's inside. Let's go. Lu Ming and King Kong rushed towards the depths of the palace. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a palace in the distance emitting endless golden light. Vast mind power formed a mind storm that swept in all directions. A boundless majestic aura filled the air. In the next moment, a figure appeared from the palace and sat cross-legged on top of the palace. The boundless golden light was being emitted from that figure. Qi Shui. Seeing this figure, Lu Ming was shocked. This figure was by Qi Shui. That golden light is so terrifying. This is the golden spiritual fire, the spiritual fire of an Emperor realm expert. Lu Ming was extremely shocked. He had received Liao Tsang's inheritance, and could tell that the spiritual fire emitted from Bai Qi Shui was the spiritual fire of a level 9 inscription master, an Emperor realm expert. Bai Qi Shui had received the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master. While Lu Ming was shocked, he was also happy for Bai Qi Shui. He did not expect Bai Qi Shui to have such an opportunity to receive the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master. Buzz! Buzz! Golden light filled the air and the palace shook. Inscriptions appeared on the countless palaces, but they collapsed one by one and disappeared without a trace. It seemed that Bai Qi Shui had received the inheritance, and it affected the arrays. A disciple of the talisman puppet sect can forget about receiving the inheritance? With a furious roar, a blood-red sword light slashed towards Bai Qi Shui. Lu Ming was shocked and flew into the air. Previously, there were arrays everywhere in the palace, and it was difficult to fly. Now that the arrays had collapsed, it was no longer a problem. However, although Lu Ming was fast, it was too late. However, when the blood-red sword light was about to hit Bai Qi Shui, a sword light shot out from Bai Qi Shui's body and blocked the blood-red sword light. Blood Sword 7, you're courting death! Lu Ming was furious. He stepped into the air and instantly approached Bai Qi Shui. His palm was like a heavenly blade as it slashed towards a blood-robed youth. The one who had attacked was the genius of the Heavenly Corpse sect, Blood Sword 7. Lu Ming! Blood Sword 7's eyes narrowed when he saw Lu Ming. He waved his blood-red sword and the smell of blood filled the air. The blood-red sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. Bam! The blood-red light collapsed and Lu Ming's body trembled. He felt his arm go numb. Blood Sword 7's battle strength was above the little demon lord's. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, figures flashed in the surrounding palaces. There were disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect and the other three forces. Disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect, gather! Chapter 930. Take down the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect! A youth in a crimson robe shouted. It was Blood Sword 9. King Kong, go and help! Lu Ming shouted. All right, Blood Sword 9, I'm your opponent! King Kong roared and pounced on Blood Sword 9, engaging in a fierce battle with him. King Kong, are you crazy? Our opponent is Lu Ming! Blood Sword 9 roared. How dare you fight with my boss? I'll cripple you! King Kong roared as he clawed at Blood Sword 9 with his claws. No matter how hard Blood Sword 9 tried, he couldn't break through. Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9 and the others were shocked. The prodigy of the demon clan, King Kong, actually addressed Lu Ming as boss and submitted to him. What was happening? Go to hell! Lu Ming turned into 9 dragons and clawed at Blood Sword 7. Blood Sword 7's body glowed with a crimson golden light and slashed at Lu Ming. The two fought fiercely, causing explosions. Lu Ming saw Brother Blazing Heaven and another prodigy of the demon race, the green-robed man. King Kong, what's the meaning of this? The youth in a green robe charged at King Kong. What do you mean? Get out of my face! King Kong roared. Swish! At this moment, the mountain river painting flew out of Lu Ming's forehead and wrapped around Blood Sword 7. Blood Sword 7 was startled. Instinctively, he felt that this picture scroll was very dangerous. He quickly retreated and at the same time, he slashed out beams of sword light, cutting the picture in half. The 9 dragons twisted their bodies and used the 9 dragon sky stomping steps to push Blood Sword 7 back. Die! Lu Ming surrounded himself with the mountain river diagram, blocking the vital points. He then ignored the defense and launched a violent attack on the seventh blood sword. The seventh blood sword struck back, but the mountain river diagram did not even budge an inch. Bam! Blood Sword 7 was shocked as he was hit by the 9 dragons. He spat out a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated. He didn't dare to stay any longer. His body flashed as he rushed toward Blood Sword 9 and joined up with him. Lu Ming stepped on the void and arrived beside Kong Kim. The two sides were in a standoff. Far off in the distance, Brother Blazing Heaven stood there, not taking any action. He had personally seen Lu Ming kill the little demon monarch and subdue the Vajra. In his eyes, Lu Ming was simply unfathomable. Vajra, you dared to betray the Yao race and help Lu Ming. Do you want to die? The green-robed monster youth coldly shouted. What are you shouting for? I'm alone in the demon race. What's there to be afraid of? Right now, I'm relying on Lu Ming. What's wrong with that? King Kong opened his mouth wide and looked at the green-robed youth with disdain. You! The green-robed young man's face turned ashen. You're courting death! Lu Ming suddenly roared. Not far away, a genius of the Heavenly Corpse sect was about to make a move and kill a talisman puppet sect disciple that was flying over. A long spear appeared. It instantly traversed the void and killed the genius of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Whoever dares to kill a disciple of the Talisman Puppet sect will die. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept across the entire area. Lu Ming, you're courting death! Blood Sword 9 shouted. Is that so? Let's see who will die! Lu Ming took a big step forward and charged towards Blood Sword 9. Blood Sword 9 launched an attack, but just like Blood Sword 7, Lu Ming didn't care about defense and launched a fierce attack. Blood Sword 9 spat out mouthfuls of blood and had no choice but to turn around and flee. Blood Sword 7 and Blood Sword 9's faces turned ugly. They didn't dare to fight with Lu Ming. The green-robed monster youth was also fearful when he saw this and distanced himself from Lu Ming. If any of you want to die, I don't mind sending you on your way. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept across the entire area. The geniuses of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley all stayed far away. They were extremely fearful and none of them dared to stop the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. Soon, the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect gathered around Lu Ming. Compared to before, there were 5 or 6 people less. Obviously, these people had already fallen. Lu Ming's gaze turned sinister as he pondered on how to kill all the geniuses of the 3 forces. Buzz! At this moment, Bai Chi Snow's inheritance seemed to have reached a critical moment. The energy waves emitted from her body became stronger and stronger. The golden light spread far and wide. From afar, one could see that the surroundings of the palaces were filled with arrays. At this moment, those arrays glowed and collapsed one by one. This place had become an ordinary place, and the great formation had disappeared. Everyone in the surroundings looked on from afar. The people of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley were indignant and wanted to destroy it. However, with Lu Ming and King Kong watching, they didn't dare to do anything. After a while, the energy waves emitted from Bai Chi Snow's body weakened and the golden light slowly retracted. When the golden light completely retracted, Bai Chi Snow opened her eyes. Everyone's gaze fell on Bai Chi Snow. Bai Chi Snow didn't seem to know anything and was a little confused. She looked around and seemed to have thought of something as she hurriedly stood up. Chi Shui, how is it? Lu Ming moved and came to Bai Chi Snow's side. Fortunately, I seem to have obtained the inheritance of a senior. Bai Chi Snow blinked her eyes and seemed to be a little confused. This made Lu Ming speechless. Bai Chi Snow had obtained the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master. How could she not know? There seems to be a lot of things in my head and I need to digest them, Bai Chi Snow said again. Lu Ming nodded. That was indeed the case. Just like when he obtained Liao Tseng's inheritance, it was impossible to increase his battle strength immediately. He needed time to comprehend it, and it would be very helpful for his future cultivation. The other disciples of the talisman puppet sect looked at Bai Chi Snow with envy. After obtaining the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master, Bai Chi Snow was destined to rise in the future. As for the geniuses of the other three forces, their eyes flashed with killing intent. Bai Chi Snow had obtained the inheritance of a sovereign, and this wasn't a good thing for the other three forces. In the future, she would rise and would be on the opposite side of the other three forces. Rumble! At this moment, a violent explosion could be heard from afar. The sound came from outside the palace. The earth rumbled as if 10,000 horses were galloping. Even the void started to shake violently. Following this, several powerful auras soared into the sky like smoke signals. What's going on? Everyone at the scene was shocked. Swoosh! Swoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. It was the people of the Emperor Sky Divine Palace outside the array. Now that the array had collapsed, they naturally couldn't stop them. Three-eyed Divine Tribe, it's the Three-eyed Divine Tribe! After those people flew over, their faces were filled with panic. The other people's faces also changed drastically. Soon after, they saw tall and sturdy Three-eyed Divine Tribe members on the ground and in the void. They were riding on huge demonic beasts and were rushing over. Those demonic beasts were similar to the Three-eyed Divine Tribe members. They were covered in scales and had 2 long horns. They were like huge water buffaloes. They were surrounded by the Three-eyed Divine Tribe members. These Three-eyed Divine Tribe members have been eyeing this ruin for a long time. They probably wanted to kill us outside, and once the array collapsed, they would rush out. Chapter 931. Some of their auras were extremely dense and gave off immense pressure. Not only were there those at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, but there were even stronger ones. Rumble! The mounts of the Three-eyed God race stepped on the void, causing the void to tremble with shocking killing intent. Human brats, how dare you target my race? Today, you will be buried here! A thunderous voice came from the Three-eyed God race, causing everyone's eardrums to buzz. What should we do? Someone was terrified. There were too many Three-eyed God race, and there were too many experts. It was impossible for them to charge out. Were they going to die here today? Brother Blazing Heaven, Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9, and the prodigies of the demon race all had ugly expressions. It can't be, right? Am I going to die here today? King Kong looked into the distance with fear in his eyes. Don't resist! At this moment, Lu Ming looked at Bai Chi, Shui, and the rest. Ah? The disciples of the talisman puppet sect looked at Lu Ming in a daze. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the mountain and river diagram flew towards the disciples of the talisman puppet sect. Remember, don't resist! After saying that, the mountain and river diagram shone and swept the disciples of the talisman puppet sect into the mountain and river diagram. This is a spatial treasure? King Kong's eyes almost popped out. The others also looked at Lu Ming with greedy looks. Kill! Leave no one alive! The most majestic Three-eyed God race waved his hand, and instantly, a group of Three-eyed God race rode their buffalo-like mounts and charged towards Lu Ming and the rest. There were about 200 of them, and each of them gave off a terrifying aura. The pressure on their bodies was like a tidal wave that surged towards them. Every one of them was an expert at the Spirit Embryo Realm and above. What should we do? What should we do? A prodigy of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace shouted in fear. There was no way to retreat because there were experts of the Three-eyed God race in all directions. They were already surrounded, and wherever they retreated, there would be experts. Kill! In an instant, there were already experts charging over. Kill! Brother Blazing Heaven and the rest roared. In such a situation, they could only fight. Human brat, die! A tall and sturdy Three-eyed God race member wielding a battle axe charged towards Lu Ming on his mount, chopping down on Lu Ming's head. This was a Three-eyed God at the 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward. His fist was like a divine mountain as it crushed down on the Three-eyed Divine race. This Three-eyed Divine race member was directly punched through by Lu Ming, dying on the spot. Devouring power burst out and devoured the blood essence of the three-eyed divine being. "You're courting death!" The other three-eyed divine tribe member saw this and pulled on his mount. Stepping into the void, he charged towards Lu Ming. There were a total of 3 people, and they were all at the 6th level of spirit embryo realm. A long spear, and an iron hammer, these 3 weapons bombarded Lu Ming. "Boss, let me help you!" Vajra roared and rushed towards a three-eyed divine race member wielding a long spear. Grabbing out with his claws, he dispersed the opponent's attack. The expression of the three-eyed divine race member with a long spear changed drastically, and a beam of light shot out from his third eye. His mount also roared, and its 2 sharp horns charged towards Vajra. These three-eyed divine race members were not on the same level as the ones Lu Ming had met before. These three-eyed divine race members were even stronger, and were obviously the elites of the three-eyed divine race. Together with their mounts, their abilities were even stronger. At the same time, the other 2 three-eyed divine race members also charged towards Vajra. Lu Ming took a step forward, and the power of 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps burst forth. The power of Ping Bai bombarded the 2 three-eyed divine race members. The 2 three-eyed divine race members and their mounts trembled violently as they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. "Die!" Lu Ming burst forth with the power of 5 dragons, and his strength increased greatly. His figure flashed as he rushed towards the other party. Bang! Bang! 2 consecutive palms landed on the bodies of the 2 three-eyed divine race members and split them into pieces. Even their mounts were killed by Lu Ming. On the other side, the three-eyed divine race member with a long spear had also been killed by Vajra. The commotion on their side attracted the attention of the other three-eyed divine race members. A few extremely tall and sturdy three-eyed divine race members looked coldly at Lu Ming and Vajra. "Courting death!" A cold voice was spat out as their mounts stepped into the air. The three-eyed divine race members commanded their mounts to charge towards Lu Ming and Vajra. "Then let's kill to our heart's content!" Lu Ming's gaze was cold as he transformed into 9 dragons and rushed towards the three-eyed divine race members with Vajra. Roar! The 9 dragons opened their mouths and gave a long roar as a terrifying devouring power burst forth. Some of the three-eyed divine race members who were at the 1st and 2nd level of spirit embryo realm couldn't control their bodies at all. They felt the blood essence and power in their bodies being devoured by the 9 dragons. They screamed in fear as they looked at their own life force flowing away. Even those three-eyed divine race members who were at the 3rd level of spirit embryo realm and above were also incomparably terrified. They were enveloped by the devouring power, and their auras fluctuated. The blood essence in their bodies seemed to want to break out of their bodies. Boom! 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 What welcomed them next was Lu Ming's 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps. The terrifying power bombarded their bodies, and those who were at the 5th level of spirit embryo realm and below exploded as their blood essence and power were devoured by the 9 dragons. Those who were at the 5th level of spirit embryo realm and above also vomited large mouthfuls of blood as they retreated in a hurry. Lu Ming's 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps combined with the devouring power was simply a large area-killing weapon. "Kill! Let's work together and kill him!" Some of the three-eyed divine race members who were at the 6th and 7th level of spirit embryo realm roared in anger as they charged towards Lu Ming. "Vajra! Enter the mountain river diagram!" The mountain river diagram fluttered and coiled around Vajra. Vajra's expression changed and he relaxed his body and mind. Instantly, a force pulled Vajra into the mountain river diagram. Immediately after, the mountain river diagram surrounded the 9 dragons. Lu Ming completely ignored his defense and rushed towards the three-eyed divine race members. The 9 dragon claws clawed out continuously. Pft! Pft! 2 three-eyed divine race members who were at the 6th level of spirit embryo realm were killed consecutively. Bang! Bang! In all directions, the attacks of the three-eyed divine race landed on the mountain river diagram. The mountain river diagram trembled slightly but was blocked. "Kill!" Lu Ming gave a loud shout and rushed towards a three-eyed divine race member who was at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. With a claw, he pierced through the heart of this three-eyed divine race member. The devouring power continued to burst forth and devoured this three-eyed divine race member. Boom! A pitch-black iron hammer smashed heavily on the mountain-river diagram, causing the mountain-river diagram to tremble. Another three-eyed divine race member who was at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm held onto an iron hammer and looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. Concept of Earth, die! A look of greed appeared in Lu Ming's eyes. This three-eyed divine race member who was at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm cultivated the concept of Earth. Lu Ming had to kill him. Lu Ming pounced towards the other party, and the other party retreated in fear. Die! Human, die! A long spear and a battle knife slashed heavily on the mountain-river diagram, causing it to tremble violently. Waves of power passed through the mountain-river diagram and landed on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body trembled slightly and neutralized this wave of power. It seems that the defense of the mountain and river diagram changes according to my cultivation. My current cultivation is still low, and the defensive ability of the mountain and river diagram is not very high. If an opponent is much stronger than me, I won't be able to withstand it. Chapter 932. The two three-eyed gods were only at the 8th level of spirit embryo realm, but they were able to penetrate the mountain-river diagram and hit Lu Ming. Of course, they were weakened by the mountain-river diagram and couldn't hurt Lu Ming. However, if they were stronger, such as those at the 9th level of spirit embryo realm, they could hurt Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled slightly. He ignored the attacks of the two three-eyed gods at the 8th level of spirit embryo realm and pounced on the one at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. 9 dragon claws were executing the hell-suppressing celestial skill and attacking the other party. Bam! The other party blocked with a huge hammer, but it was useless. The hammer was sent flying by Lu Ming. The dragon claws clawed the other party's body, and the other party roared and flew 100 meters away. He spat out blood, but he didn't die. The defense of the realm of Earth is strong, but you still have to die. The dragon claws stepped on the air, and with a twist of his body, he appeared in front of the other party and clawed again. Poochie! This claw penetrated the other party and killed him. His blood essence and energy were all devoured by Lu Ming. While Lu Ming was on a killing spree, screams came from other directions. The geniuses of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley were killed one by one. Some of them were famous geniuses in the outside world, and some were even god-level geniuses. But now, they were killed mercilessly. Lu Ming saw that Blood Sword 9, with his blood-colored sword light, was filled with blood aura. He killed a three-eyed god at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm, but his head was chopped off by a strong practitioner at the 8th level. This genius, who was ranked 63rd on the list of top 1,000 geniuses, had fallen. Go retreat! Go to those palaces! Brother Blazing Heaven and Blood Sword 7 roared and rushed out of the encirclement towards the palaces. There were many wonderful things in those palaces that might be able to stop the three-eyed gods. Swoosh! At this moment, a battle saber slashed through the air and landed on the mountain and river diagram. The mountain and river diagram shook violently, and a powerful force surged into the 9 dragons' bodies. It even cut open the 9 dragons' scales, leaving a wound. 9th level of spirit embryo realm! Lu Ming was shocked. One of them was at least 6 meters tall, and was riding a massive mount. He held a war blade in his hand and looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Kill! He let out a roar as his saber tore through the void and slashed at Lu Ming again. Boom! The mountain and river diagram shook violently as a terrifying saber-chi pierced through the mountain and river diagram and landed on the 9 dragons' bodies. Another wound appeared. The 9th level of spirit embryo realm is too strong. Even the mountain river diagram can't block it. Let's retreat first. Lu Ming's mind raced. In spirit embryo realm, the difference between every single level was extremely huge. Only a rare person like him who cultivated god-level techniques, had 2 god-level bloodlines, and had extremely powerful bloodline martial techniques, would be able to kill an opponent who was 5 levels above him. However, facing someone at the 8th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, Lu Ming was already powerless. On the other hand, someone at the 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm could easily kill him. Go! Lu Ming's body moved and rushed towards the palaces. The palace he chose was the one where he had obtained the mountain and river diagram. The puppets in that palace would adjust their strength according to their cultivation. Lu Ming believed that the three-eyed god race wouldn't be able to rush in. Stop him! The strong practitioners of the 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm let out furious roars. A few of the three-eyed god race at the 8th level of Spirit Embryo Realm continuously attacked Lu Ming, but they were all blocked by the mountain and river diagram. Scram! Lu Ming charged forward with all his might and broke through the obstructions. He rushed into the palace and transformed into his human form before rushing forward. In front of him, 2 puppets condensed and swept their cold gazes at Lu Ming before moving aside. They seemed to have recognized Lu Ming and didn't stop him. Lu Ming was elated. He dashed over directly. At the back, the rest of the three-eyed divine clan members rushed over. However, the puppet moved. It transformed into a terrifying attack and charged toward the few three-eyed divine clan members. Lu Ming heard a scream. It seemed that the three-eyed divine clan members had been killed. As expected, the puppets here would adjust their strength according to the cultivation of the person who entered. Lu Ming walked into the secret room below, and just like the previous time, puppets appeared. However, they all swept their gazes at Lu Ming and moved aside. Lu Ming had no obstructions and came to the passage. The puppets on both sides of the passage only took a glance at Lu Ming before standing there motionlessly. Lu Ming had no obstructions and came to the secret room where he had obtained the mountain and river diagram. At this moment, Lu Ming let out a long sigh of relief. This place should be safe. Let's refine the energy first. Immediately, he sat down cross-legged and started refining. This time, he had swallowed quite a bit of energy and was refining it continuously. Concept of Earth has broken through and reached the peak of the 2nd level. Lu Ming's heart stirred. At the same time, the energy was being refined continuously and turned into vital essence which surged into the spirit embryo. In his dantian, the spirit embryo was pulsing as if it was nurturing a life. Following the influx of vital essence and continuous refinement, the size of the spirit embryo was also slowly shrinking. A day later, the aura on Lu Ming's body rose greatly. 3rd level of spirit embryo. After refining the energy, Lu Ming's cultivation reached the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. The energy I have swallowed this time is just enough for me to break through to the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Among them, there are 2 three-eyed god race at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm and 5 or 6 at the 6th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Only those at the 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm and below are enough for me to break through to the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. The energy I need is really a lot. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. If he had swallowed 1 less three-eyed god race at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, he wouldn't have been able to break through. Among the 4 kinds of conceptions, the concept of earth has reached the peak of the 2nd level, while the concept of thunder and concept of wind are still at the peak of the 2nd level. However, the concept of wind has broken through and reached the small success of the 2nd level. Among the three-eyed god race that I killed just now, most of them cultivated the concept of wind. However, the bloodline of the 9 dragons hasn't leveled up. The amount of blood essence it needs now is even more terrifying. I shall first enter the mountain and river diagram to take a look at Qi Shui and the rest. After that, I shall stabilize my foundation and condense my vital essence and conceptions before breaking out of the encirclement. His cultivation had increased by 1 level to the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. In addition to the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming was confident that he could break out of the encirclement and leave. With a thought, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram. The moment he entered the mountain and river diagram, he discovered Bai Qi, Qi Shui and the rest of the disciples of the talisman puppet sect flying around the vast land. After a long time, someone finally discovered Lu Ming and gathered towards him. Zongzi! Lu Ming Zongzi! The disciples of the talisman puppet sect greeted Lu Ming. Their gazes towards Lu Ming were filled with envy, astonishment, and gratitude. A treasure like the mountain and river diagram made them envious. However, Lu Ming had saved them time and time again. They were extremely grateful towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, this is a paradise treasure, right? I didn't expect there to be such a treasure in this world. Bai Qi Shui also flew over and looked at Lu Ming with astonishment in her beautiful eyes. This was simply a world of its own. Who wouldn't be astonished? Boss, you are really too awesome. You even have such a treasure. Vajra stepped on the void and rushed over. He looked at Lu Ming with a face of admiration. Chapter 933. You guys should cultivate here during this period. We're currently being surrounded by the three-eyed tribe. I'll hide in a palace and break out after some time, Lu Ming said. Zongzi, be careful, a disciple of the talisman puppet sect said worriedly. Don't worry. Lu Ming let out a smile. He then glanced at Bai Qi Shui and said, Qi Shui, let's take a walk. Saying this, he walked to the side. Bai Qi Shui followed behind him. The others were smart enough not to disturb them and found a place to cultivate. Qi Shui, you must have obtained the succession of the martial emperor, right? Lu Ming asked. That's right. Unfortunately, there are still many things that I can't see. My cultivation is still too low, Bai Qi Shui said. Lu Ming nodded his head. This was normal. For example, he had obtained Lian Tsang's succession, but Lian Tsang had still placed a seal on him. One should not bite off more than they could chew on the path of cultivation. One had to take one step at a time to reach the peak. If one were to see too many things at once, they would be confused and lose their sense of direction. Qi Shui, how many luck points have you obtained? Lu Ming was curious. How many luck points would one obtain after obtaining the succession of a martial emperor? 50,000. Bai Qi Shui blinked her eyes and said. Although she was trying her best to hold it in, her eyes were still filled with excitement. 50,000? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He did not feel that Bai Qi Shui had obtained too much, but he felt that it was too little. When he obtained the mountain and river diagram, he had obtained a total of 100,000 luck points. In that case, the value of the mountain and river diagram was more valuable than the succession of a martial emperor? Lu Ming, how many luck points have you obtained? Bai Qi Shui glanced at Lu Ming curiously. She was eager to try and surpass Lu Ming. A few 100,000, Lu Ming said casually. A few 100,000? Bai Qi Shui was tongue-tied and lowered her head in disappointment. Lu Ming was secretly amused. This little girl wanted to compete with him. All right, you've obtained the sovereign's inheritance. Cultivate well. I'm leaving. After saying that, Lu Ming's figure disappeared. After returning to the secret room and putting away the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and quietly cultivated to stabilize his foundation. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Lu Ming prepared to go out. Now that his cultivation had risen to the third level of spirit embryo realm, he was confident that with the protection of the mountain and river diagram, even strong practitioners at the 9th level of spirit embryo realm wouldn't be able to hurt him. Lu Ming left the palace and flew to the sky above one of the palaces to look outside. Outside, it was completely empty. Not a single member of the three-eyed divine race could be seen. The three-eyed divine race had actually all left. Lu Ming guessed that there were many people participating in the War of Providence. When the three-eyed god race saw that they could not find them, they left to chase after the others. I wonder if Brother Blazing Heaven, 7th Blood Sword, and the others were killed or if they escaped. Lu Ming thought for a moment before rising into the sky and flying into the distance. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, he did not encounter any three-eyed divine race. At this moment, Lu Ming found a secret place and entered the mountain and river diagram. He informed the disciples of the talisman puppet sect that they were out of danger and asked them if they wanted to go out. Everyone naturally wanted to go out. The purpose of participating in the War of Providence was to find opportunities. If they were to hide here, they might as well not participate in the War of Providence. Lu Ming moved everyone out of the mountain and river diagram. How about this? During this period of time, we will move together to find opportunities and gather more disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. How about that? Lu Ming suggested. Lu Ming Zongzi will move with us? That's great! The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect were overjoyed. They had already witnessed how strong Lu Ming was. With Lu Ming around, their chances of finding opportunities would be higher, and their chances of encountering danger would be lower. Lu Ming nodded his head. It was not because he was suddenly being kind. There were two reasons for him to do so. Firstly, he wanted to buy their support. These young geniuses would surely become the pillars of the Talisman Puppet Sect in the future. It was extremely important for him to gain their support in order to control the Talisman Puppet Sect in the future. If he were to give them a favor now, they would surely be loyal to him in the future. Secondly, the more providence the Talisman Puppet Sect obtained, the better it would be for the Talisman Puppet Sect. It would be beneficial for Lu Ming too, thus he was more than happy to do so. All right, we'll look for opportunities while you guys contact the nearby disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect, Lu Ming said. In this world, the transmission distance of sound transmission jade talismans was greatly restricted. The transmission distance was less than a tenth of the outside world, or even less than 1%. Even a high-grade sound transmission jade talisman could only reach people within 100,000 li radius. With the plan in place, the group began to move. Next, Lu Ming led the group to explore some mysterious places while contacting the other Talisman Puppet Sect members. As time passed, more and more Talisman Puppet Sect disciples gathered. Everyone was increasingly impressed and grateful towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's strength was also acknowledged by everyone. During this period, they explored several mysterious places and obtained many opportunities. There were also some dangers, such as being hunted by the three-eyed divine tribe. However, under Lu Ming's lead, they passed through all of them. Lu Ming naturally won the hearts of the people. As time passed, Lu Ming's understanding of this world increased. During this period, he had captured some three-eyed divine tribe members and learned a lot of information from them. This world was extremely vast. At the center of this world, the three-eyed divine tribe's royal city was located there. The three-eyed divine tribe's royal city contained the majority of the three-eyed divine tribe's elite forces. With the royal city as the center, it was divided into 4 large regions. Lu Ming and the rest had been moving around in the eastern region. Presumably, there were more prodigies in the other 3 regions. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Half a year had passed since the start of the Battle of Providence. On the peak of a mountain, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. Light flashed on his body and the faint roar of a dragon could be heard. Suddenly, the aura on Lu Ming's body skyrocketed. However, in the next moment, his aura was concealed again. Lu Ming opened his eyes. 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm! Lu Ming smiled slightly. In these few months, the number of three-eyed divine tribe members that he had killed was not many. Most of them were from his own bitter cultivation, and his improvement was great. 4 types of concepts had all entered the initial stage of 3rd level. Today, his cultivation had also successfully broken through to the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. His foundation was incomparably stable. It was extremely difficult to break through to the Spirit Embryo Realm. In the outside world, even prodigies would find it difficult to break through to the next level without a few years. For some ordinary Spirit Embryo Realm practitioners, it was normal to spend decades or even centuries to break through to the next level. Lu Ming had relied on his own bitter cultivation to be able to break through to the next level within 3 months. This was already considered very fast. This was also because the cultivation environment here was good. In addition, he had devoured some three-eyed divine tribe members during this period. Other people might not have such a speed. Furthermore, the higher one went, the slower one's cultivation would be. Not far away, there were some Talisman Puppet Sect disciples cultivating and some patrolling the surroundings. Chapter 934. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard from afar. A figure was rushing towards them. Soon, the figure stopped not far away. It was Ji Mai, ranked 107th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Zongzi! Ji Mai flew over when he saw that Lu Ming had finished his cultivation. Ji Mai had also joined Lu Ming's team during this period of time. At this moment, Ji Mai looked at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. In fact, when Ji Mai first entered the observatory, his mental fire had already broken through to level 7. During this period of time, he had made further progress and initially thought that he had finally surpassed Lu Ming. However, during this period of time, he discovered that the gap between him and Lu Ming had widened. Lu Ming's combat ability was simply unfathomable. After hearing from the other disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect that Lu Ming could even kill the little demon lord and subdue the King Kong of the demon race, who was not weaker than the little demon lord, they immediately dispelled the thought of competing with Lu Ming and were full of admiration for him. Ji Mai, did you find anything? Lu Ming smiled faintly, stood up and asked. Zongzi, I did find something, Ji Mai said with a great expression. What is it? Lu Ming asked. There might be a Talisman Puppet sect genius more than 300,000 miles away from here, but he's trapped in a place, Ji Mai said. Ji Mai immediately explained in detail. It turned out that he had been investigating the situation within a radius of several 100,000 miles when he heard the sounds of a great battle outside a valley. He looked from afar and saw that inscriptions were shining brightly in the valley. Flames were soaring into the sky. Someone was fighting. However, the aura was extremely powerful and far stronger than Ji Mai's. Ji Mai knew very well that there was definitely a genius who was far stronger than him. He would definitely die if he attacked, so he hurried back to report to Lu Ming. The person's aura was far stronger than Ji Mai's. He was definitely in the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents, or even higher. The trapped Talisman Puppet sect disciple was definitely not to be underestimated. If Lu Ming's guess was right, there should be a Talisman Puppet sect disciple in the valley who had set up a formation to fend off attacks. Ji Mai, lead the way. Let's go take a look, Lu Ming said. As for the Talisman Puppet sect disciple, there was no need to worry because there were already many large formations set up nearby. The Talisman Puppet sect disciples' advantage was that they could set up a powerful formation as long as they had time to defend themselves. Ji Mai nodded and flew into the distance with Lu Ming. The two of them flew at breakneck speed, and before long, they arrived at the place Ji Mai had mentioned. Boom! A purple flame soared into the sky and filled half of the sky. At the same time, an inscription array shone and formed a light shield to resist the flame attack. Pure purple heavenly fire! They're from the Wang clan! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. He was all too familiar with the extreme purple heavenly fire. Sooner or later, we'll break through your formation, and you won't be able to escape. A cold and gloomy voice sounded. Ji Mai's expression changed. When Yue Zhang was one of the 13 Zongzi candidates of the Talisman Puppet sect. He was ranked 52nd on the list of top 1,000 talents, only one place lower than Li Tian. But now, when Yue Zhang was in trouble, Wang Chen, I didn't offend you, but you want to kill me? A voice came from the valley. Didn't you hear what the Wang clan's supreme martial artist said before entering the Battle of Providence? If you see anyone from the Talisman Puppet sect, kill them without mercy. The Talisman Puppet sect is really daring. That Lu Ming is wanted by Martial Emperor Di and you dare to accept him. You are courting death. The voice from before sounded. Haha, what a joke. I heard that the Wang family's supreme martial artist was almost beaten to death by Lu Ming. A dignified supreme martial artist almost died in the hands of a young man. No wonder he flew into a rage out of humiliation and vented his anger on our Talisman Puppet sect. When Yue Zhang's voice came from the valley. You're courting death. Along with his angry roar, the pure purple heavenly fire shone brightly. The light shield formed by the formation trembled and was on the verge of collapse. Wang Qin, who's ranked 43rd on the list of top 1,000 talents. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. Wang Qun was ranked 43rd on the list of top 1,000 talents. No wonder Wen Yuezhang was trapped here. Let's go! Lu Ming strode out and walked toward the valley. He was close to the valley in a few breaths. From afar, he could see a dozen figures standing in the air above the valley. There were men and women, and at the forefront was a young man in a purple robe. He was covered in flames and constantly attacked the valley below. Most likely, this person was Wang Qun. There were 3 young people in the valley, 2 men and 1 woman. One of them looked elegant. He stood in front and waved his hands. Purple spiritual fire danced and formed a formation to fight against Wang Qun. Behind him, a man and a woman sat cross-legged. They looked pale and were obviously injured. Meng Jia! Lu Ming recognized the woman. She was Meng Jia. As for the young man, Lu Ming also remembered him. He was Gong Fei, one of the 13 Zonzi candidates from the Talisman Puppet Sect and ranked 77th on the list of top 1,000 talents. The one fighting with Wang Qun was undoubtedly Wen Yuang. Who's there? As Lu Ming and Ji Mai approached, those people heard the noise and turned to look at Lu Ming and Ji Mai. It's him! Lu Ming! They exclaimed when they saw Lu Ming. At the same time, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Lu Ming skipped the rest of the people and focused on 2 of them. One was a man and the other was a woman. The woman was Wang Haoxian. She still wore a ring around her neck. She looked haggard and her aura was weak. After so long, she was still at the 6th level of the spiritual sea realm. Logically speaking, with Wang Haoxian's talent, she should have reached the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm, or even higher. Obviously, she was being controlled and couldn't improve her cultivation. When she saw Lu Ming, her eyes shone with amazing splendor. The other young man was wearing a starry robe. He was Xingxing. Back then, after the battle between the Holy Star and Mulan on their wedding day, the Holy Star had disappeared. He didn't expect to see it here. Lu Ming, it's you? Xingxing squeezed out a few words. His voice was cold, and the murderous intent in his eyes was extremely strong. His grandfather, Shangguan Zhongyuan, had been smashed to death by Lu Ming using the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron during the battle in Nine-Dragon City. He was a spiritual god, but he had died just like that. After Shangguan Zhongyuan died, Shangguan Wuchen, Shangguan Wuling, and Xingxing's status in the Shangguan clan plummeted. If he hadn't awakened the divine bloodline, he would have been in an even worse state. Therefore, new and old grudges were added together. It was easy to imagine how much he hated Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Ji Mai, what are you doing here? Hurry up and leave! In the valley, Wen Yuezhang shouted when he saw Lu Ming and Ji Mai. Chapter 935. Ha ha ha, we've searched high and low for you, only to find you by chance. Lu Ming, you actually delivered yourself to our doorstep. That's great, we don't have to look for you. Wang Qun stopped and laughed maniacally. Stop them! Don't let them escape! Xingxing yelled and rushed toward Lu Ming and Ji Mai with a few other youths. Ji Mai's eyes were grave, but when he saw Lu Ming's calm face, he forced himself not to say anything. In the next moment, the youths, including Xingxing, surrounded Lu Ming. Up ahead, Wang Haoxian revealed a worried expression. Lu Ming, at least you know your place. You know you can't escape, so you didn't run. However, even if you stay and beg for mercy today, you'll still die. Xingxing's eyes flashed with murderous intent. At the same time, he looked confident. If not for his fear of Ji Mai, he would have already attacked. Idiot! Lu Ming glanced at Xingxing indifferently. Xingxing's cultivation was clear in his eyes. He was at the peak of the 1st level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Xingxing's cultivation had skyrocketed to such a level. He must have had a great opportunity. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to reach such a level. Xingxing was ranked at the bottom of the list of top 1,000 talents back then, but now he had reached such a level. No wonder he was so confident. With such a cultivation, he could reach the top 200. What did you say? Bastard, what did you say? The sacred star was enraged by Lu Ming's contemptuous words. Now that his cultivation had improved greatly, he was confident that he could easily suppress Lu Ming. A loser like you thinks you can be arrogant in front of me just because you have a little bit of cultivation. If you're not an idiot, then what are you? Lu Ming glanced at the sacred star before shifting his gaze to the front. Wang Chen grabbed Wang Haoxian's shoulder and walked towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I have to take my hat off to you. Even the genius of the Wang family fell for your charms. She actually disregarded her feud and got so close to you. She's really a slut, a slut. Today, I'm going to kill you personally in front of this slut and make her feel despair. Wang Chen stared coldly at Wang Haoxian. You better let her go. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Ha ha, if your heart hurts, then I'll make it hurt even more. Pa! As he spoke, Wang Chen slapped Wang Haoxian's face. A handprint immediately appeared on Wang Haoxian's face, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Wang Haoxian glared at Wang Chen. Bitch, if you keep staring, I'll dig out your eyeballs. Wang Chen shouted coldly. Wang Haoxian, don't worry. I will avenge you for this slap. Lu Ming's face calmed down, but his voice was still cold. Young Master Wang Chen, there's no need for you to kill this bastard. Let me do it. I have a grudge against Lu Ming, and I will kill him myself today. Xing Xing said. There's no need to kill him. Cripple his cultivation first. I want him to beg for death. Wang Chen said coldly. Good, that's exactly what I want, Xing Xing said as he strode forward. His body was covered in starlight, and 7 stars appeared above his head. The Big Dipper bloodline had 3 golden chakras shining brightly. Xing Xing had successfully awakened the Big Dipper bloodline, which was a level 3 divine grade. No wonder he was so confident. Lu Ming, I know you've awakened a level 2 divine grade bloodline. Now I can completely crush you. Xing Xing's eyes shone with confidence. Back in 9 Dragon City, the bloodline that Lu Ming displayed was a 2nd level divine level bloodline. Nonsense, hurry up and make your move. I'll give you 3 chances. Do your best. This is the last chance I'll give you in this match. You won't have another chance to make your move in the future. Lu Ming scolded coldly. Shameless boasting. Die. Xing Xing's starlight surged and condensed into a starry longsword. It emitted a terrifying aura as it pierced towards Lu Ming's dantian. He wanted to cripple Lu Ming's cultivation in one move. Whoosh! The starry longsword cut through the void like a meteor streaking across the horizon at an extremely fast speed. However, Lu Ming stood still as if he didn't see this sword light. He didn't even activate his protective Jinyuan. Acting? Acting in front of me? Let's see how you'll die. Xing Xing's eyes were cold. Jinyuan erupted, and the longsword's speed increased. Just as the longsword was about to hit Lu Ming moved and slapped out. Pun! The palm slapped the starry longsword, and it crumbled like tofu. Xing Xing's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. He erupted with all his strength to stop his body from moving forward and retreated instead. After retreating 1,000 meters, Xing Xing's face turned pale as he spurted out a mouthful of blood. He was not injured by Lu Ming. Instead, he had been charging forward courageously. However, he stopped himself and retreated. The reversal was too great. Under the surging vital essence, he had suffered internal injuries. Damn it! Xing Xing roared in his heart. His face turned green and red with shame. Lu Ming hadn't even made a move yet, and he had actually injured himself. This was too shameful. However, Lu Ming's slap was too shocking. It had easily shattered his sword light. That was why he had retreated in shock. What an idiot! First move, 2 moves left. Cherish this opportunity. Lu Ming smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with contempt. Die! Die! Lu Ming, die! 7 stars heart-slaying sword! Xing Xing roared. His eyes turned red, and starlight surged. Above the endless void, the Big Dipper shone brightly. It seemed to have turned into a sword light that fell from the sky and slashed at Lu Ming. This sword was very terrifying. It was several times stronger than the previous sword. On the side, the other youths looked dignified. The battle strength of Xing Xing had made them solemn. In the blink of an eye, the sword light fell on top of Lu Ming's head. However, Lu Ming still slapped out just like the previous time. With a bang, the sword light shattered. It was no different from the previous time. The others were stunned. Lu Ming could actually defeat Xing Xing's attack so easily. This was beyond many people's expectations. Lu Ming's combat ability is not weak, Wang Chen said. However, his tone was still very relaxed. That was because Xing Xing was no different from an ant in his eyes. Even if Lu Ming was stronger than Xing Xing, he was only a slightly stronger ant. He didn't take it to heart. Although Lu Ming's battle strength is not weak, compared to a genius like Wang Chen, there is still a huge gap. It's very dangerous for him to stay here. In the valley, Gong Fei and Meng Jia had finished healing their injuries and looked outside worriedly. Lu Ming seems to be very calm. He knows that Wang Chen is here, but he still dares to stay. He should have some confidence. Let's wait and see. If the situation is not right, we will rush out together, Wen Weizhang said. There is still one more move. Xing Xing, is that all you have? How disappointing. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Ah, how is it possible? How is it possible? Chapter 936. Back in the Tianxian domain, on the day of his wedding with Mulins, he was defeated by Lu Ming. He swore that one day, he would return the favor tenfold, and defeat Lu Ming. For this, he cultivated extremely hard. With the help of the Shangguan clan, he improved rapidly. At that time, he also heard that Lu Ming had entered the Nine Dragons city and beaten up his mother. At that time, he wanted to find Lu Ming to take revenge. However, later on, there was news of the Shangguan clan's prodigy, Shangguan Jinjue, being killed. Later on, there was news of Lu Ming fighting other prodigies. Lu Ming's battle prowess had obviously surpassed his. This made him jealous and crazy. This made him cultivate even harder. He wanted to awaken his god-level bloodline and suppress Lu Ming. However, before he could awaken his god-level bloodline, Lu Ming suppressed everyone in the exchange. He even defeated the prince of the Middle Continent's ancient imperial dynasty. Later on, it directly led to the Battle of the Nine Dragons City. In that battle, not only was his grandfather, Shangguan Zhongyuan, killed, but even the Wang clan's supreme martial artist was almost killed by Lu Ming. After that, Lu Ming successfully escaped from the Nine Dragons City. After that battle, Lu Ming's fame reached its peak. However, Xing Xing was not discouraged. He believed that Lu Ming only relied on the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. He did not know what method he used to control the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Even without the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, he could still defeat Lu Ming. Later on, he successfully awakened his third god-level bloodline, which greatly increased his confidence. In the Battle of Destiny, he obtained a great opportunity, and his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the first level of Spirit Embryo Realm. He was even more confident. He felt that he could easily crush Lu Ming. However, everything that happened just now, including Lu Ming's two simple moves, completely destroyed his confidence. It turned out that in front of Lu Ming, he was actually so insignificant and vulnerable. No, I must kill him! I must! Xing Xing's eyes were red. He directly used bloodline fusion and transformed into a 7 stars bloodline. He exploded with extreme power and attacked Lu Ming. If he did not kill Lu Ming, he would not be at ease. His martial heart would collapse, and from then on, it would be difficult for his martial cultivation to improve. Vast starlight pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not even look and directly punched at the starlight. Boom! The starlight trembled, and a miserable shriek came from within. Then, the starlight collapsed and turned back into the holy star. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground like a pile of mud. His face was filled with despair. His aura was weak and there was no fluctuation of vital essence. Lu Ming's punch earlier had already destroyed his spirit embryo and crippled his cultivation. I've said it before. Those 3 moves are your last chance to attack. Lu Ming glanced at the sacred star coldly, and did not bother to look at him again. At the side, the other young men retreated in horror. They were also prodigies, but their combat power was not as strong as Xing Xing's, so they were naturally shocked. Wang Qin, it's your turn! Lu Ming looked at Wang Qin. Haha, you think you can fight me after defeating a piece of trash? What a joke! Alright, I'll let you see how big the gap is between us. Wang Qin smiled disdainfully as he slowly stepped forward. With every step he took, his aura would increase by a bit. Boom! 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 The pure purple heavenly fire on Wang Qin's body soared into the sky. It was as if half the sky was dyed purple. The flames roared, and Wang Qin's eyes turned cold. 5th level of spirit embryo realm? There was a faint sneer at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. 5th level of spirit embryo realm was only 1 level higher than Lu Ming. Wan Haoxian, watch how I destroy him. After the Battle of Providence is over, I'll destroy your cultivation and sell you to a brothel. I'll let you know the consequences of betraying the Wang family. Wang Chen's voice traveled far, and Wan Haoxian's face turned pale. Wang Chong said something similar before, but he's dead now. Now I'll send you down to accompany him. Lu Ming said coldly. You killed Wang Chong? Humph, then you deserve to die. Wang Chen's murderous intent surged. He suddenly took a step forward and threw a punch at Lu Ming. 4 kinds of intent surrounded him. Lu Ming activated the hell-suppressing heaven skill and similarly threw a punch. Boom! When the 2 fists collided, the void vibrated. Wang Chen's body swayed and he staggered backward. However, Lu Ming did not retreat at all. Everyone at the scene suddenly widened their eyes and sucked in a breath of cold air. They were shocked. Lu Ming knocked Wang Chen back with 1 punch. How was that possible? Everyone was surprised when Lu Ming easily crushed the sacred star, but no one thought that Lu Ming could fight with Wang Chen. The difference between the sacred star and Wang Chen was like heaven and earth. There was no comparison at all. Wang Haoxian's eyes lit up. Inside the mountain valley, Wen Yuezhang, Gong Fei, and Meng Jia's eyes lit up with pleasant surprise. Wang Chen, on the other hand, was furious. Damn it! Wang Chen roared furiously, his murderous aura soaring to the sky. He was actually forced to retreat by Lu Ming. This was completely different from what he had imagined. In his expectations, he would be able to beat Lu Ming half to death with 1 punch. Lu Ming, you must have used all your strength in that punch, right? But let me tell you, I only used half of my strength. Don't think you can stop me, Wang Chen said coldly. Oh? Is that so? I only used 20% of my strength just now, Lu Ming said casually. Nonsense. You're boasting shamelessly. Strength isn't something that can be measured with words. Wang Chen's aura became stronger, and his flaming divine fist shook the world. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He was right. He had only used 20% of his strength earlier. However, it was obvious that no one believed him. Let the truth speak for itself. He stepped out and punched again. This time, the power of his punch was even stronger. It collided with Wang Chen's fist again, and Wang Chen was knocked back again. This time, there was a look of disbelief in his eyes. His strength had increased, but Lu Ming's strength had also increased. He couldn't accept it. At the same time, he was a little shocked. Was Lu Ming telling the truth? Did he only use 20% of his strength? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Kill! Wang Chen exuded a cold killing intent. His bloodline appeared, and 5 golden chakras shone brightly. He turned into a purple flame. A level 5 divine bloodline. In fact, most of the talents in the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents had level 5 divine bloodline. Very few of them had reached level 6. The 6 supreme masters of the 6 ancient families only had level 6 divine bloodline. How many supreme masters were there in the entire eastern wilderness? They had accumulated over a long period of time. Swoosh! The flame turned into a sword and slashed at Lu Ming. Roar! Lu Ming released 2 streams of dragon power. His body swelled, and scales appeared on his skin. He looked demonic. Bam! Chapter 937. Lu Ming stepped forward and punched the flaming combat sword with his fists like 2 huge hammers. The flaming combat sword vibrated violently and was unable to fight back. The rest of the people from Emperor Heaven Divine Palace looked on in shock. Their eyes widened in disbelief. Wan Qin, who was ranked 43rd on the list of top 1,000 talents, was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. No one would have believed it if they had not seen it with their own eyes. Lu Ming was indeed very powerful during the exchange meet between the 3 sects in Nine Dragons City. However, there was still a huge gap between him and the top 100. It had only been a short while and Lu Ming had reached this stage. Everyone in the top 100 was a genius among geniuses. Lu Ming had improved and so had they. It could only be said that Lu Ming's improvement was too terrifying. Boom! 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 Wan Chen's fist continued to hit the flaming combat sword. Finally, with a bang, the flaming combat sword exploded and turned into flames. The flames drifted backward and reformed into Wang Chen's appearance. However, Wang Chen was now in a sorry state. His face was pale and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. His aura was weak and he was obviously seriously injured. He looked at Lu Ming in horror and retreated wildly. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged forward. Wang Chen must die today. Nangong Bo, save me! Wang Chen shouted as he retreated. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he continued to attack. Stop! With a cold shout, a young man stepped into the air and pointed his finger. The sound of a phoenix could be heard and a fiery red phoenix flew out, charging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He punched out and defeated the phoenix. Then, he continued to attack Wang Chen. How dare you! Didn't you hear what I said? The young man's eyes were cold, and his body emitted light. In a flash, he appeared in front of Wang Chen. His eyes shone with a terrifying light. He also exuded a terrifying aura that was far stronger than Wang Chen's. Nangong Bo, ranked 32nd on the list of top 1,000 talents, was a talent from the Nangong clan, one of the 6 ancient families. Nangong Bo is about to attack! In the valley, Wen Weizhang had a grave look on his face. The spirit fire between his eyebrows pulsed as he prepared to make a move at any time. Nangong Bo was not someone Wang Chen could compare to. Nangong Bo, if you continue to block me, I'll kill you too! Lu Ming shouted coldly and pressed forward. Hee, kill me too! Let's see how you're going to kill me! Nangong Bo's eyes were ice cold, and the fiery red glow around him intensified. This glow was like fire, yet not fire. Within the glow, there seemed to be the cry of a phoenix. The dark phoenix spirit seal was the most powerful technique of the Nangong family. Scram! Lu Ming's answer was very simple. He threw out a punch. Nangong Bo struck out with his palm. The cry of a phoenix rang out as a phoenix condensed and flew towards Lu Ming. As its wings flapped, a terrifying killing intent overflowed. This was a phoenix condensed from the Azure Phoenix spirit imprint. It possessed terrifying power. It looked beautiful, but it was full of killing intent. Lu Ming's fist collided with the phoenix silently. However, Lu Ming's expression changed and he couldn't help but retreat a few steps. He felt a tearing pain coming from his fist. Sweeping his gaze, he discovered that the scales on his fist had cracked and fresh blood was seeping out. What a terrifying Azure Phoenix spirit seal! It was silent, yet it could take one's life. Furthermore, Nangong Bo's cultivation was also very terrifying. He had reached the early stage of the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. His abilities were much stronger than Wang Chen's. Chirp! The cry of a phoenix rang out again as Nangong Bo stepped forward. With a wave of his hand, another phoenix flew out, filled with killing intent. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. He was incomparably powerful. Then I'll kill you too! Lu Ming snorted, and the dragon force in his body burst forth again. 5 dragon forces burst forth, and Lu Ming's strength increased by several times. With a punch, the phoenix collapsed. How can this be? Nangongbo was shocked. With a wave of his hands, 2 phoenixes rushed out. Lu Ming punched with both fists. The vital essence in his body roared, propelled by 4 different conceptions, and activated the hell-suppressing heaven skill. Boom! Boom! Frantically collapsing, Lu Ming took large strides forward. Nangongbo's expression was ugly. Phoenix cries rang out continuously, and his entire body glowed. His fingers continuously formed seals in the air, and another phoenix flew out. This one seemed to have a life of its own, and its power was even stronger. Lu Ming punched continuously for a few days, and the sky rumbled like thunder. It took him 8 consecutive punches to break the phoenix apart. However, Nangongbo condensed another phoenix. Nangongbo was indeed very powerful. Even if they were in the same realm, the higher rank the geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were, the stronger they were. Otherwise, how could they be ranked at the top? Behind Nangongbo, Wang Qin was overjoyed. With Nangongbo around, he wouldn't die. A sinister glint flashed in his eyes as he pondered how to kill Lu Ming. Today, he was crushed by Nangongbo. He had lost face, and he had to take revenge. His eyes flashed, and he looked at Wang Haoxian. He sneered and flew toward Wang Haoxian. What are you doing? Wang Haoxian was shocked and quickly retreated. Since Lu Ming cares so much about you, I'll kill you in front of him, hee hee. Wang Qin sneered. He wanted to kill Wang Haoxian in front of Lu Ming and distract Lu Ming so that Nangongbo could kill him. Wang Qin, you're courting death! Lu Ming's eyes were cold, and he kept punching. However, Nangongbo's combat strength was too strong, and he entangled Lu Ming tightly. For a moment he couldn't rush out. Hee hee, you're really anxious. Wang Qin sneered and closed in on Wang Haoxian. Buzz! Suddenly, the space lit up, and endless inscriptions shone. A formation appeared, and several ice dragons condensed and pounced toward Wang Qin. Wen Yuezhang! Wang Qin was furious. Flames spread out, and he fought with the ice dragons. However, he had just been injured by Lu Ming, and his combat strength had weakened. He couldn't break the formation at all. When Yuezhang, Gongfei, and Meng Jia stepped on the air, with every step they took, inscriptions would spread out under their feet. Inscriptions flashed around the space. Oh no, they're setting up a formation. Stop them! Kill! At the side, the other sky prides of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace roared and unleashed their true origin energy, charging toward Wen Yuezhang and the others. However, the formation shone, and ice swords floated in the air, piercing through the void. Several sky prides screamed and were killed by the ice swords. Wen Yuezhang, how dare you kill the sky prides of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? You must die! Nangongbo roared. You should worry about yourself. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head, and he transformed into 9 dragons. Nangongbo's pupils constricted, and a fiery red phoenix appeared above his head. He was also a level 5 divine realm cultivator. Roar! The 9 dragons roared, and their devouring power erupted. They stepped on the void, and used the 9 dragon sky stomp. The phoenix let out a long cry and also used its killer move to fight against the 9 dragons. The dragon and phoenix fought in the air, making people feel as if they had returned to ancient times, when hundreds of beasts fought for supremacy. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Lu Ming became more and more courageous as he fought, and he began to suppress Nangongbo. Phoenixes and true dragons were on the same level, but the 9 dragons were stronger than ordinary true dragons. They were known as the 10 strongest beasts in the world, and their combat strength was invincible. Chapter 938. Puchi. The 9 dragons unleashed their might and tore off one of the phoenix's wings. The phoenix let out a mournful cry, and its aura weakened as it retreated rapidly. The 9 dragons executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and chased after the phoenix, striking out with their 9 claws. Wounds appeared on the phoenix's body as it cried out in pain, and its eyes were filled with fear. With a final cry, the phoenix turned and ran, turning into a beam of light and disappearing into the distance. Nangongbo had escaped. Lu Ming did not chase after him. Nangongbo's battle prowess was very strong, and his cultivation was 2 levels higher than his. Even if Lu Ming could win, it would not be that easy to kill Nangongbo. Run! Nangongbo's escape caused the people of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace to panic. All of them screamed in horror, wanting to escape. However, the inscriptions in the surroundings shone, and a formation appeared, trapping them. When Yuan, Gongfei, Mengjia, and Jimai attacked at the same time, trapping them in that area. Lu Ming, who had transformed into 9 dragons, took a step forward and appeared in front of Wang Chen, looking at him coldly. No, damn it! Wang Chen was terrified, and a chill ran down his spine. He had never expected Lu Ming to be so terrifying. Even Nangongbo was not his match. After being severely injured by Lu Ming, Nangongbo had fled alone. Lu Ming had not used his full strength in the battle earlier. Whoosh! Lu Ming directly struck out with his claws. Puchi! Although Wang Chen tried his best to block, one of his arms was still torn off. Wang Chen screamed, and his eyes were filled with despair. Lu Ming transformed back into his human form and stepped forward, punching out continuously. Bam! Bam! Wang Chen could not block at all and was severely injured. In the end, Lu Ming's fist landed on his dantian, and his spirit embryo was shattered by Lu Ming, turning him into a cripple. Ah! Wang Chen screamed hysterically. His voice was filled with despair and resentment. Lu Ming, you will die a horrible death. You dared to offend the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and Her Majesty Empress Wu. After the Battle of Providence ends, you will definitely die in Her Majesty Empress Wu's hands. Wang Chen let out a resentful cry. With his cultivation crippled, he knew that he was finished. Even if Lu Ming did not kill him, he would still die in this world. Wang Haoxian, since he wants to kill you, I'll leave him for you to kill. Lu Ming looked at Wang Haoxian. Wang Haoxian stepped through the air and condensed a flaming sword in his hand. He looked at Wang Chen with murderous intent. Wang Haoxian, you bitch! You betrayed the Wang clan and the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. You will die sooner or later! Wang Chen shouted. Whoosh! The sword light flashed, and Wang Chen's head flew far away. Ah no, spare my life, spare my life! I don't want to die! The other geniuses of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace started to beg for mercy. However, when Yuezhang and the others showed no mercy, the array formation appeared, and before long, everyone from the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace was killed. Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline to devour the essence blood energy of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace disciples, turning them all into dried corpses. When Yuezhang and the others looked at Lu Ming's bloodline in amazement, this was the first time they had seen such a domineering bloodline. Lu Ming, thank you very much this time. When Yuezhang stepped forward and cupped his fists, at the side, Gong Fei and the Meng clan bowed in unison. Their eyes were filled with amazement and even shock. Lu Ming's battle prowess was too strong and had completely surpassed them. Now, in terms of battle prowess, Lu Ming could already be ranked in the top few among the 14 Zongzi candidates of the Talisman Puppet Sect. There were not many who could surpass Lu Ming. The key was that Lu Ming's progress was too fast. If this continued, it would not be long before he surpassed most people and stood shoulder to shoulder with Huan Jun. You are too polite. We are all from the same sect, and it is only right that we help each other. Moreover, before the War of Providence, the elders also told us to be united, Lu Ming said with a smile. When Yuezhang and the others had a better impression of Lu Ming. Although he was strong, he did not have a trace of arrogance or overbearingness. He gave off a refreshing feeling. They knew that Lu Ming was someone they could befriend. Brother Wen, Brother Gong, There are many senior and junior brothers of the talisman puppet sect not far from here. Let's meet there, Lu Ming said. Okay. When Yue Zhang and the others nodded and flew with Lu Ming to the gathering place of the talisman puppet sect disciples. On the way, Lu Ming also found out why when Yue Zhang and the others were besieged. It was obvious that the talisman puppet sect had been targeted in the War of Providence. Not only the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, but even the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Sky Demon Valley would either kill or capture disciples of the talisman puppet sect when they saw them. During this period of time, many disciples of the talisman puppet sect had died. When Yue Zhang and the others had accidentally bumped into Wang Chen, Nangong Bo, and the others. Without saying a word, Wang Chen and the others attacked Wen Yue Zhang and the others. If it wasn't for Wen Yue Zhang and the others desperately setting up a defensive formation in the valley, and Nangong Bo and Wang Chen wanted to play slowly, they would have been in danger before Lu Ming arrived. This made Lu Ming and Ji Mai grit their teeth. Did the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the other two forces really think that the talisman puppet sect was easy to bully? The five of them chatted as they flew. Suddenly, their eyes flickered and they came to a stop. The Book of Providence appeared in front of the five of them. Lu Ming looked at the Book of Providence and saw a line of words on it: 9 great forbidden lands, 1 totem pillar appears. Only by gathering all 10 totem pillars can the ancient city of Providence be opened. Totem pillars! Could it be that the final treasure to open the ancient city of Providence in this War of Providence is this so-called totem pillar? Ji Mai's bewildered voice sounded. The five of them put away the Book of Providence and exchanged a glance. It was obvious that the five of them had received the same news. That should be the case. The totem pillars are the key to opening the ancient city of Providence. I didn't expect them to be in the 9 great forbidden lands. Moreover, one of them has already appeared. I wonder who has it? Wen Weizhang said. Lu Ming also knew about the 9 great forbidden lands. He had learned from the three-eyed divine tribe that there were 9 most dangerous places in this world. These places were called forbidden lands by the three-eyed divine tribe. The 9 great forbidden lands were many times more dangerous than other ruins. This world was very strange. Some of these ruins weren't very dangerous to Lu Ming and the others, but they were fatal to the three-eyed divine tribe. Once a three-eyed divine tribe member stepped into these ruins, they would be killed instantly. These ruins seemed to be specially designed to test Lu Ming and the others who were participating in the War of Providence. This made Lu Ming feel that there was an inexplicable hand behind his back, controlling everything. The 9 great forbidden lands were even more dangerous to the three-eyed divine tribe. They would definitely die if they entered. Lu Ming had learned about it before, but he didn't want to go because he guessed that the 9 great forbidden lands should be the most important test places. There would definitely be amazing treasures inside, but it was often accompanied by danger. Before he had the strength, he would be courting death if he went there. But now, it seemed that he had no choice but to go. Chapter 939. The Battle of Providence was generally divided into 2 stages. The first stage took about a year and was mainly a testing process. In this process, one could explore some ruins and treasure lands to obtain opportunities and luck points. One could also obtain luck points through killing. In this process, one could also continuously improve one's strength. The second stage was to open the ancient city of Providence and start the final battle. However, there were some conditions to open the ancient city of Providence. For example, one had to gather some specific treasures before the ancient city of Providence would appear. Only when the ancient city of Providence appeared would the luck points obtained in the Battle of Providence be of great use. Only then could they be truly transformed into Providence and benefit their respective sects, families, and friends. If one could not open the ancient city of Providence, the Battle of Providence would end when the time was up. Then, the luck points obtained in the process would be useless, which meant that this Battle of Providence would be considered a failure. Apart from some opportunities obtained during this period, there was no other use. Therefore, the key was to open the ancient city of Providence. Obviously, this time, the ancient city of Providence was opened by the totem pillars. In the 9 great forbidden lands, only those who entered the 9 great forbidden lands could obtain the totem pillars. Now, someone had already obtained a totem pillar. Needless to say, obtaining a totem pillar would definitely give one a huge amount of luck points. The few of them looked at each other and Lu Ming said, "The closest forbidden land to us is the Sky Poison Island, one of the 9 great forbidden lands. Let's go to the rendezvous point first and then discuss the next step," Lu Ming suggested. Everyone nodded and continued flying. Not long after, they returned to the gathering place of the Talisman Puppet Sect. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect were naturally overjoyed when they saw Wen Yuezhang and the others. Then, Lu Ming gathered the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect to discuss the 9 great forbidden lands. Obviously, everyone had received the same message in their books of providence. Many people shook their heads and chose to withdraw. "I'm not going either. The 9 great forbidden lands definitely contain great opportunities, but it's also extremely dangerous. Similarly, all the geniuses will definitely gather in the 9 great forbidden lands. It's the place where the strongest geniuses will compete. Even if I go, I won't be able to obtain any opportunities." Jimai shook his head and sighed. Although his strength was not bad, he was still far from the top geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Then, Meng Jia shook his head, indicating that he would not go. In the end, only Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei decided to go. On the other hand, the other Talisman Puppet Sect disciples intended to gather together and find a good place to set up a grand formation and make it their base camp. After that, they would explore the nearby area and obtain fortuitous encounters. Lu Ming nodded. This was the best choice. If one did not have enough strength, going to the 9 great forbidden lands would only be courting death. After the discussion, Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei bade farewell to everyone and flew towards one of the 9 great forbidden lands, the Heavenly Poison Island. "Little Gold, speed up!" Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei sat cross-legged on the back of a ferocious golden tiger. Lu Ming urged them. "Roar!" The golden tiger let out an unwilling roar. The golden tiger was none other than King Kong. At this moment, he had transformed into a length of more than 20 meters. He stepped on the air and ran at an extremely fast speed. However, he was roaring furiously in his heart. It was fine that Lu Ming treated him as a mount, but he actually allowed others to sit on him. It was fine that he allowed others to ride him, but why did he call him Shaojin? Little Gold was a peerless genius of the demonic beast race with 50% of the bloodline of a divine beast. How could Lu Ming call him Little Gold? King Kong almost vomited blood in anger. His name was so mighty, but he was called Little Gold? When Lu Ming first called him Little Gold, King Kong swore that he would rather die than obey. However, when Lu Ming said, "You want to taste the soul-splitting array again, right?" King Kong could only accept his fate. His heart was filled with resentment towards Lu Ming. "What are you shouting for? Are you trying to scare me? Hurry up!" Lu Ming slapped King Kong's head, causing him to grimace in pain. He ran away as he cursed Lu Ming a few thousand times in his heart. Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei were covered in cold sweat. They were really impressed by Lu Ming. He could actually subdue a demonic beast prodigy as a mount and make him obedient. He was really amazing. The 3 of them closed their eyes and rested on King Kong's back. King Kong ran at an extremely fast speed. Soon, they had crossed over 1,000,000 miles. This place was not far from the Sky Poison Island. Lu Ming asked King Kong to transform into his human form, while Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei changed their appearances. They changed their clothes and concealed their auras before flying toward the Sky Poison Island. The Talisman Puppet Sect was being targeted, and Lu Ming was the target of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Sky Demon Valley. It would be troublesome if they appeared in their true appearances, so they might as well disguise themselves. After changing their appearances, the 4 of them flew forward. In front of them, it became more and more desolate. There were mountains everywhere, but there was a dead silence on the mountains. After tens of thousands of miles, There was a huge sunken area between the mountains. It was a huge lake, and it was difficult to see the end of it. Green mist covered the lake, blocking one's vision. One could only vaguely see that there was a huge object in the center of the lake. That was the Sky Poison Island. There were many figures standing on the shore of the lake. They looked into the distance, but no one flew toward the lake. When they saw Lu Ming and the others, they only glanced at them coldly before turning their heads away. Swoosh! Swoosh! A few figures flew over from afar and landed on the shore of the lake. These people had dense demonic chi. They were the prodigies of the heavenly demon tribe. This is the Sky Poison Island! The prodigies of the heavenly demon tribe were excited. Why don't you go in? A demonic beast youth in colorful clothes looked at the others and asked. Can't you see? The lake is filled with poisonous gas. How can we cross it? A human youth said. Judging from his clothes, he should be a prodigy of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Hee, just some poisonous gas and you stopped. What a bunch of trash. You want to fight for the totem pole? Go home! The youth in colorful clothes sneered and stepped into the air. He turned into a colorful python and flew toward the lake. The prodigy of the Heavenly Corpse sect sneered. The colorful python was very fast. In a few breaths' time, it had rushed into the lake and into the green mist. However, as soon as he charged into the green mist, he let out a miserable shriek. His multicolored body began to emit sizzling sounds as it began to rot. The colorful python desperately tried to fly back, but after a few miles, it fell into the lake. Its body rotted, and soon, only a skeleton was left. What a terrifying poisonous gas! Lu Ming, Wen Weizhang, and Gong Fei looked solemn. The colorful python had reached the 7th level, which was equivalent to the 1st level of Spirit Embryo Realm. However, it was poisoned to death without any resistance. How can this be? The other prodigies of the heavenly demon tribe who came with the colorful python were shocked. Hee, what a bunch of idiots! Didn't you do any research before coming here? The poisonous gas in the lake is extremely poisonous. It's impossible to cross it. However, the poisonous gas dissipates for 7 days every 3 months. That's the best time to enter the Sky Poison Island. There's still half a month before the poisonous gas dissipates. Just wait. Chapter 940. Lu Ming, Wen Weizhang, and the others' expressions changed slightly. They had not known about this beforehand. If they had not been cautious, they would have been in danger if they had rushed in rashly. It was no wonder that these people were standing by the lake and did not go over. Lu Ming and the others observed for a while and then left. Since there was still half a month before the poisonous fog dissipated, they found a place nearby to cultivate and wait. Dozens of miles away, on a small mountain, the 4 of them sat cross-legged and waited for time to pass. Time flew by day. There were more and more people in this area, but most of them just took a look and waited nearby. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Lu Ming and the others returned to the shore. From the surrounding barren mountains, one figure after another flew towards this direction. Soon, there were hundreds of people gathered here. Those who dared to come here to compete for opportunities were not weak. Of course, there were also those who wanted to rely on luck to try their luck. Boom! In the sky, an extremely powerful pressure came down and weighed down on everyone's hearts. Damn it, who is it? A burly young man shouted and looked up. But the next moment, his expression changed drastically and cold sweat ran down his face. In the sky, a young man in a black robe stood with his hands behind his back. Demon chi filled the sky. His face was as sharp as a knife, and his expression was grave and stern. His eyes flashed with a bright light, like 2 demonic blades emitting light. Luo Tian, Demon Lord Luo Tian! Someone exclaimed. Luo Tian, ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Many people's expressions changed and their hearts sank. They did not expect Luo Tian to come. Is this Luo Tian? Lu Ming's eyes moved. Luo Tian's younger brother, Little Demon Lord Luo Li, was killed by him. It seems that Luo Tian already knows that I killed his brother. Lu Ming looked at a person not far from Luo Tian. It was Brother Li Tian. It seemed that Brother Li Tian did not die at the hands of the three-eyed divine tribe. Since Brother Li Tian was with Luo Tian should already know that he had killed Luo Li. But now that he had disguised himself and restrained his aura, he was not afraid. Luo Tian, I didn't know it was you. I take back what I said. The burly young man's face was extremely ugly. His eyes were filled with fear as he stuttered. People have to be responsible for their words. Luo Tian's eyes were cold, but his voice was calm. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand. A pitch-black saber light tore through the void and slashed towards the burly youth. Go! Without hesitation, the burly young man turned around and fled frantically. However, Luo Tian frowned slightly and waved his hand again. The power of the blade light suddenly increased dramatically. It instantly cut through the void and slashed at the burly young man's head. No! The burly young man roared. Puff! The saber light flashed, and the sturdy youth was split into two halves. The surrounding geniuses were as silent as cicadas in winter, not daring to make a sound. Demon Lord Luo Tian was famous in the eastern wilderness. Who didn't know of his ruthless methods? Now that he had seen it today, it was indeed so. The burly young man had only unintentionally uttered a word of curse, and it had brought about a fatal disaster. It could be seen how overbearing he was. Moreover, that burly young man was a genius from the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. Even if he was from the same sect, he was still killed by Luo Tian because of a single word. Ha, Luo Tian, you're really impressive. You can only show off here. At this moment, a mocking voice rang out. Everyone was shocked. Who was it? How dare he speak the truth to Luo Tian like this? Did he want to die? In the sky, a golden light flashed, and a figure appeared in the air. It was a golden-haired young man. His face was as clear as jade, and he was dressed in a golden feather robe. His body emitted a golden light, and within the light, a golden divine bird could be vaguely seen flying and chirping. A golden Luan. Lu Ming was shocked. He recognized the golden divine bird within the light. It was a genius from the demon clan. Jin Qi! Luo Tian slowly uttered a name. There was a hint of seriousness in his eyes. The others were also shocked. Although the demon clan of the Sky Demon Valley was not on the list of top 1,000 talents, some extremely powerful geniuses were still eye-catching. Jin Qi had the bloodline of the divine bird, the Golden One. It was said that the bloodline density was extremely high, at least 60%. Among the many geniuses of the Sky Demon Valley, he was ranked in the top 5. He was even more famous than Luo Tian. No wonder he dared to look down on Luo Tian. Luo Tian, with me here, you can forget about the totem pole of the Sky Poison Island. Jin Qi sneered at Luo Tian. Not necessarily. It depends on one's ability, but it also depends on luck and opportunity, Luo Tian said. Ha, luck? Opportunity? I have the strength to crush everything. Why would I need luck and opportunity? Only the weak talk like that. Jin Qi laughed. Luo Tian's face was ugly. If anyone else dared to talk to him like that, he would have killed them. However, he was not confident in dealing with Jin Qi. He felt a strong sense of danger from Jin Qi. The poisonous fog is starting to disperse. At this moment, someone exclaimed softly. Everyone looked forward. There seemed to be a gust of wind on the surface of the lake. The dense green poisonous fog was rapidly dissipating, and the scene in the lake became clear. There was a huge island in the center of the lake. It was about 10,000 miles away from the shore. That was the Sky Poison Island. Whoosh! Jin Qi was the first to move. He turned into a golden ray of light and flew toward the Sky Poison Island. Soon after, Luo Tian and a few other geniuses also moved. They all fought to be the first to fly toward the Sky Poison Island. Lu Ming's group of 4 blended into the crowd and flew over as well. The journey of 10,000 miles was only a few minutes for them. Many people stopped as they approached the island. Because the island was covered in a dense forest, it was completely different from the outside world. In the sky above the forest, there was a thick green fog rolling like green clouds. However, there was only a faint green fog in the forest below. Compared to the sky, it was countless times thinner. I think Jin Chi has already rushed in. Although there is poisonous fog in the forest, it is far from being comparable to the poisonous fog on the surface of the lake. It is also incomparable to the fog in the sky. It should be able to resist. That's right. As long as we don't fly into the sky, it should be fine. Let's go! One figure after another rushed into the island and disappeared. Let's go! Lu Ming's group of 4 gathered together and descended into the forest. Chi, after descending into the forest, a sizzling sound could be heard. That was the green fog corroding their protective Jinyuan. However, it wasn't very strong, and they easily blocked it. The 4 followed the forest and rushed toward the depths of the island. Not long after, they heard a mournful scream. Danger! The 4 looked at each other and lowered their speed. They focused and headed toward the direction of the scream. Not long after, they found a youth lying on the ground, no longer breathing. Chapter 941. Poisonous Insects. Clearly, this island was not only filled with deadly poisonous gas, but also poisonous insects. Swoosh! The fist-sized poisonous scorpion noticed them and turned into a streak of black light that shot toward King Kong. You're courting death! King Kong shouted as a large saber appeared in his hand. He slashed at the scorpion accurately. Clang! The sound of metal clashing was heard as the poisonous scorpion flew far away and crashed into the ground, creating a large crater. However, the next moment, the scorpion shook its body and crawled out of the ground. Nest, what a tough body! I can't believe it didn't get cut in half by my saber! King Kong was slightly surprised. Although that strike of his just now was a casual strike, the weapon he used was a level 7 spirit weapon. With that strike, the poisonous scorpion actually didn't die. No wonder it could kill a young prodigy. Swoosh! The black poisonous scorpion pounced at King Kong again. Do you think I'm easy to bully? King Kong grinned, put away his saber, and swung his claw. Swoosh! The sharp claw light tore through the air and scratched the poisonous scorpion. The poisonous scorpion could not withstand King Kong's sharp claws and was torn into pieces. Then, they became more careful and moved deeper into the island at a much slower speed. That's poison heartwood! After 100 miles, when Weizhang suddenly stopped. He found a fragrant tree that was as thick as an arm. I didn't expect there to be such a treasure here. Gong Fei's eyes lit up. That was a top-grade level 7 spiritual wood. It had a powerful detoxifying effect when used to refine pills. It could produce detoxifying pills in a highly poisonous place. There must be a lot of treasures here, Gong Fei said. Let's collect them first. When we get out of Sky Poison Island, we'll split them equally. No one objected to Wen Yuezhang's suggestion. Then, Wen Yuezhang dug out the poison heartwood and put it away. They continued to move forward. From time to time, they found spiritual herbs. They were at least level 6, and some were even level 7. The most shocking thing was that they found 2 level 8 spiritual herbs. Not only were there spiritual herbs, but there were also a few precious ores. There's a corpse! Along the way, they found a corpse. However, it was already in tatters. Clearly, it had been bitten by poisonous insects. This place was filled with opportunities, but it was also filled with danger. More than 100 people had entered, and it was unknown how many of them would die here. Rustle! Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the forest. Look, there's something in the ground! Gong Fei suddenly exclaimed. On the ground in front of them, a large piece of land protruded, and that protrusion was moving towards them at an extremely fast speed. When Yuezhang stomped on the ground, and a formation appeared. A battle sword condensed and slashed at the protrusion. Bang! The protruding part was cut off, but in the next moment, everyone's expression changed greatly. Countless black poisonous scorpions charged out from the ground toward the four of them. There were so many of them that it was hard to tell how many there were. This venomous scorpion was identical to the one he had seen before. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming, Wen Yueang, and Gong Fei started inscribing inscriptions at the same time. A formation appeared on the ground, and a barrier of light appeared before the four of them. Bang! 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 Countless poisonous scorpions slammed into the light screen, causing it to vibrate violently. Puff! Puff! Following that, the light screens shattered one after another, and Lu Ming and the others' expressions changed drastically. These light screens were condensed from elementary level 7 formations, but they were easily broken. Let's go, there are too many poisonous scorpions. We can't kill them all, Lu Ming shouted, and the four of them turned around and ran at top speed. Behind them, the poisonous scorpions chased. However, every time Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei took a step, a large formation would appear on the ground, forming a light screen to block the poisonous scorpions. Thus, the speed of the scorpions was greatly reduced, and the four of them soon shook off the scorpions. Whoosh! At this moment, a scarlet thing pierced through the air, emitting a disgusting smell, and pierced towards Lu Ming's forehead. Lu Ming's expression changed, and 4 types of intent surrounded him as he struck out with his palm. Bang! Suddenly, he felt an enormous force surge towards him, and his body involuntarily took 2 steps back. The scarlet thing was also sent flying. A fish? Lu Ming could not help but be shocked when he saw what had ambushed him. It was a large, colorful fish that was more than 10 meters long. Its body was covered in scales, but it actually had a pair of wings. It was flying in the air, and a scarlet tongue was extending and retracting from its mouth. It was the big fish that had ambushed Lu Ming just now. What kind of monster is that? Wen Yuezhang also said in a low voice. Ga ga! The big fish let out a strange cry, flapped its wings, and pounced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed out. He circulated the health-suppressing heaven skill and slashed at the strange fish with his palm. The strange fish's scarlet tongue curled like a soft whip towards Lu Ming. Bang! The palm struck the strange fish's tongue, and the tongue exploded. Lu Ming's body did not stop as he continued to rush towards the strange fish. The strange fish let out a strange cry and spat out a thick green poisonous gas from its mouth. Lu Ming burst forth with the power of devouring and covered his body, instantly swallowing the poisonous gas. He rushed over and struck the strange fish's head with his palm. With a bang, the strange fish exploded. The strength of the strange fish was not weaker than the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm, and with the addition of the poisonous gas, it was even more terrifying. However, it was easily killed by Lu Ming. However, this also showed how dangerous it was. After all, there were not many people who had the battle prowess of Lu Ming. Many of the prodigies who had encountered the strange fish had only one path: death. There seems to be something over there? King Kong's nose twitched a few times, as if he had smelled something. He looked to the right. That was the direction where the strange fish had appeared. Let's go take a look. The 4 of them went to the right, and not long after, a few more strange fish appeared and rushed towards them. These strange fish seem to be guarding something. There should be treasures. The 4 of them thought of something and attacked with all their might. The few strange fish were easily killed, and they continued forward. Along the way, they killed over 10 strange fish. They saw a cliff, and on the cliff, there was a small puddle. That's the water of life! Wen Yuezhang cried out in surprise. Lu Ming, King Kong, and Gong Fei's eyes suddenly widened. In the small puddle, there was a milky white liquid that was emitting an astonishing amount of life essence. The water of life! It's the water of life! Lu Ming said excitedly. He had once bid for a small bottle of the water of life in an auction in the Hong domain. However, it had been diluted and its concentration was very low, so it could not be considered the true water of life. However, Lu Ming would never forget the aura it gave off. In the small puddle in front of him was the true water of life. The water of life was a supreme treasure that was extremely rare in the world. Chapter 942. Such rare treasures were all measured in drops. For example, the bottle of life elixir that Lu Ming had bid for previously was probably diluted with a drop of life elixir. But there was a small puddle in front of him that weighed at least a few kilograms. Opportunity, a great opportunity! King Kong grinned. Lu Ming and the others also smiled. Let's split it equally? Wen Weizhang said. Okay. Lu Ming and the others agreed. Wen Weizhang immediately took out a jade bottle and prepared to collect the life elixir. Ha! What a great opportunity! There's actually life elixir here! At this moment, an excited laughter sounded. With a flash of golden light, a young man appeared at the scene. Jin Qi! They were shocked. The person who came was the demon race prodigy of the Sky Monster Valley. Jin Qi glanced at the life elixir and scolded. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill you. You can scram! Jin Qi, we found this life elixir first. You want to take it all for yourself? Your appetite is too big, Wen Weizhang said with an ugly expression. Appetite? My appetite is that big, so what? Do you want to fight with me? Jin Qi's body emitted a golden light, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. With a contemptuous smile, he swept his gaze over Lu Ming and the others. King Kong, you're a demon race prodigy after all. How embarrassing for you to mix with humans. You don't have to go back to the Sky Monster Valley, otherwise I don't mind killing you. A cold voice came from Jin Qi's mouth. King Kong's expression was ugly, but he didn't dare to refute. There was a faint flash of fear in his eyes. Obviously, King Kong was extremely afraid of Jin Qi when Weizhang and Gong Fei's spirit fire jumped between their eyebrows. Lu Ming's true essence burst out as he confronted Jin Qi. You're overestimating yourself. You're courting death. Jin Qi's gaze turned cold. The golden light on his body became denser and a terrifying aura burst out. That aura was incomparably vast, and the pressure was like a mountain pressing down on everyone. Lu Ming and the others felt an extremely dangerous feeling in their hearts. They felt that their lives would be in danger if they fought with Jin Qi. Lu Ming, let's go! At this moment, King Kong growled. Leave? When Weizhang and Gong Fei's faces were filled with unwillingness. Let's go. Jin Qi is an extremely powerful person. I've fought with him before. Even if the four of us join forces, we still won't be his opponent. The difference is too great. We can only be killed. King Kong growled and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and the other two. Go! At this time, Lu Ming spoke. Jin Gang was right. Jin Qi gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. Lu Ming felt that if they really fought, even with the mountain and river diagram, he wouldn't be able to defend against Jin Qi's attacks. Perhaps they would all be killed here. Although the water of life was precious, there was no need to risk one's life to obtain it. When Weizhang and Gong Fei also gritted their teeth, the four of them quickly retreated and left the place. Jin Qi smiled faintly. It wasn't that he was kind and didn't want to kill them, but he felt that Lu Ming and the other three weren't simple. If they really fought, even if he could kill Lu Ming and the other three, it would take him a lot of effort. This island was full of poisonous insects and fog. It would save him a lot of effort to find the totem pole, which was why he didn't attack. Otherwise, he would have killed Lu Ming and the others directly. What a pity! After leaving, Wen Weizhang sighed. Lu Ming didn't say anything, but his gaze became more determined. In this world, strength spoke louder than words. Without strength, it was useless to say anything. The four of them continued to explore, but they didn't change their direction and kept going deeper into the island. This was because the totem pole was most likely in the depths of the island. However, the deeper they went into the island, the thicker the poisonous fog became, and the more powerful it became. Inscriptions appeared on Wen Weizhang and Gong Fei's bodies, and a light shield blocked the poisonous fog around them. King Kong's demonic power spread and covered his entire body. Sizzle. When the poisonous fog came into contact with the inscriptions and the demonic power, it constantly sizzled and corroded the light shield and demonic power. Only Lu Ming was the most relaxed. His entire body was covered with a layer of devouring power, and all the poisonous fog was devoured. Lu Ming's movements were not affected at all. This made Wen Yuezhang and the others click their tongues in wonder. In their eyes, Lu Ming was becoming more and more unfathomable. Not long after, they saw a young man with a green face running back in a panic. It was obvious that he was deeply poisoned. Their faces were solemn as they moved forward for another few thousand miles. At this point, the poisonous fog was even more terrifying. The light shield formed by Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei shook and trembled on Drama Island, and so did King Kong's demonic power. It was constantly fighting against the poisonous fog, and it was very draining. Lu Ming, it seems like we can only go this far. We can't go any further. Wen Yuezhang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Me too, Gong Fei said. King Kong also looked at Lu Ming with eager eyes. If this continued, they would be in danger. Okay, then you guys look for opportunities in the periphery. I'll go deeper and take a look. Lu Ming nodded, then bid farewell to Wen Yuezhang and the others and moved forward alone. Not long after, Lu Ming walked for another few thousand miles. At this point, the poisonous fog had reached an astonishing level. Not even the poisonous insects could be seen, let alone humans. Thud thud, Lu Ming moved forward carefully. He did not know what dangers he would encounter here, so he was on full alert and did not dare to move too fast. Eh? There's someone in front! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He saw a figure in front of him, who was also moving forward slowly. Obviously, he was much slower than Lu Ming. Luo Tian! When he got closer, he realized that the young man in front was Luo Tian. Demonic Qi surrounded Luo Tian, forming a thick demonic Qi armor that covered his body and blocked the poisonous fog around him. However, the poisonous fog was so powerful that it constantly corroded the demonic Qi armor. It was obvious that Luo Tian was having a hard time moving forward. Hearing the commotion, Luo Tian turned his head, and his eyes were filled with shock. Obviously, he did not expect that other than Jin Qi and him, there would be someone else who could reach this place. However, when he saw the devouring power on Lu Ming's body, his eyes lit up. Lu Ming ignored Luo Tian and walked forward, but Luo Tian clearly had no intention of letting him go. Bam! Luo Tian took a step forward and appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his path. Sir, what is the meaning of this? Lu Ming's face darkened. You should have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, right? Give it to me, Luo Tian said in a commanding tone. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It turned out that Luo Tian treated the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline as some kind of treasure. Sir, I don't have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, Lu Ming said. You don't have it? You want to lie to me? Do you think I'm a fool? If you don't have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, how could you have reached this place? Hand it over quickly, or I'll take it myself. It's the same. Chapter 943. Your Excellency, that's too much, Lu Ming said. Even if he had a treasure that could block the poisonous gas, he would still be poisoned to death if he gave it to Luo Tian. Luo Tian did not care about his life at all. Haha, too much? You trash, it's your honor to be able to help me. If you don't hand it over, I'll kill you immediately. Demonic Qi flickered in Luo Tian's eyes, and his killing intent became even colder. Haha, Luo Tian, who do you think you are? Lu Ming suddenly sneered, then took a step forward and dashed to the side. You're courting death. Luo Tian was stunned for a moment, then he roared and slashed at Lu Ming with his palm like a knife. The terrifying saber radiance almost split the poisonous gas. The surrounding poisonous gas rolled as the saber radiance approached Lu Ming. Roar! With a dragon roar, Lu Ming unleashed all his dragon power. At the same time, the mountain river diagram rushed out and surrounded him. Boom! Lu Ming punched out and collided with the saber radiance. There was a terrible roar, and the poisonous gas nearby was dispersed. Lu Ming felt waves of terrifying saber radiance rushing toward him. Most of them were blocked by the mountain-river diagram, but some of them entered the diagram. Puff! Puff! Several wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body, and blood flowed out. Lu Ming took advantage of this force, and retreated 1,000 meters before dashing to the side. What an overbearing saber technique! What a strong combat strength! Lu Ming spat blood from the corner of his mouth. The scales on his fist were broken, revealing a deep saber wound. Luo Tian's strength was far above his. No wonder he was ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. So you're quite strong? Luo Tian frowned, and his killing intent became even colder. Although he did not use all his strength, there were not many people who could block his saber. Bam! He took a step forward and his body was like a saber gleam. He chased after Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. Boy, you have a lot of treasures. You'd better hand them all over, or I'll make you die a horrible death. Luo Tian's voice was cold. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He broke into a run. Kill! Luo Tian shouted. A black demonic saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed with all his strength. 1,000-meter-long saber radiance was formed, cutting through the poisonous gas and the void, slashing toward Lu Ming. This saber radiance was several times stronger than the previous saber radiance. Lu Ming did not take it head-on. His figure flashed to the side at high speed. However, the saber gleam actually moved along with him, and slashed down at high speed. In the end, Lu Ming managed to dodge it. However, he was still hit by the sharpness of the saber aura. The mountain-river diagram shook violently. Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Due to his injuries, it was difficult for him to maintain his disguise and return to his original appearance. Lu Ming! Seeing Lu Ming's true appearance, Luo Tian let out a furious roar, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. Lu Ming, so it's you! How dare you kill my brother, Luo Li? Die, die! I want you to die without a burial ground! Devil Chi rushed into the sky from Luo Tian's body, and his speed increased to a terrifying level. He was like a demonic saber, cutting through the air. His speed was even slightly faster than Lu Ming's. So strong. Looking at Luo Tian's cultivation, he's only at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, but his battle prowess is too terrifying. Even prodigies like Wang Qin and Nangong Bo would be easily killed by him even if they were at the same level as him. Lu Ming's thoughts turned rapidly. Luo Tian's strength was extremely terrifying. It couldn't be measured by normal martial arts practitioners or even normal prodigies. Other than a few people, Luo Tian was basically invincible among those at the same level. What's more, his cultivation was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming changed his direction and rushed towards the depths of Sky Poison Island. The poisonous gas there was thicker, which was advantageous for Lu Ming. Damn it! Luo Tian roared in anger and chased after him with gritted teeth. In a blink of an eye, he was 100 miles deep. Wang, suddenly, a buzzing sound came from the front. It was a swarm of poisonous bees. There were basically no living creatures here, but there were still so many poisonous bees. These poisonous bees were definitely terrifying. Luo Tian, I'll let you have a taste of these poisonous bees! Lu Ming didn't stop and rushed towards the poisonous bees. At the same time, he threw out a punch, and a blazing fist aura rushed into the swarm of poisonous bees. This time, it was like poking a hornet's nest. The swarm of poisonous bees exploded, and they seemed to be very angry as they rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the mountain and river diagram to block. Bang, bang, bang. These poisonous bees continuously crashed into the mountain and river diagram, causing it to tremble violently. After that, Lu Ming turned and sprinted towards Luo Tian. Damn it, lunatic! Luo Tian roared and slashed out a shocking blade aura. Lu Ming did his best to dodge. Although he didn't manage to completely dodge and was shaken to the point of vomiting blood, The blade aura still chopped down a swarm of poisonous bees. The other poisonous bees flew towards Luo Tian in anger. At the head of each wasp, there was a long tube that spewed out multicolored poisonous gas that spread towards Luo Tian. Crackle, crackle! Luo Tian's demonic armor emitted sounds of corrosion. He was so frightened that his face turned pale as he ran towards the back. Lu Ming, don't let me see you again! I'll definitely kill you! Luo Tian's voice sounded, but he had already disappeared. Lu Ming ran forward with large strides. There was a swarm of poisonous bees chasing after him. Fortunately, he could devour the poisonous gas, and the poisonous gas was ineffective against him. The mountain and river diagram could also defend against the attacks of the poisonous bees. Not long after, Lu Ming shook off the poisonous bees and continued forward. After 1,000 miles, a huge mountain appeared in front of Lu Ming's eyes. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a violent explosion came from the bottom of the mountain. There seemed to be living beings fighting. Who is it? Could it be a prodigy of the human race? Is there anyone else who can reach this place? Lu Ming's face changed. According to his guess, Luo Tian shouldn't be able to reach this place. He immediately retracted his aura and carefully approached. After entering, he discovered that there was a cave at the bottom of the mountain. The explosion came from within the cave. Lu Ming found a hidden place to hide and looked forward. Not long after, the explosion in the cave disappeared. A golden light flashed and a figure charged out of the cave. Jin Qi! Lu Ming's eyes flickered. That figure was actually Jin Qi. There was a golden bead above Jin Qi's head. It scattered rays of sword light and helped Jin Qi block the poisonous gas outside. However, it obviously couldn't block it completely. Jin Qi's face was green and he was clearly poisoned. Damned beast! Jin Qi roared and glared at the cave. He then found a place and took out a pile of origin stones and began to absorb the poison. He didn't discover Lu Ming. It was obvious that he had fought with something in the cave and had used up a lot of his true essence. He came out to absorb the origin stones to recover his true essence. Half an hour later, Jin Qi stood up and charged into the cave. The sounds of battle came from within the cave again. Not long after, Jin Qi roared and charged out of the cave. This time, he was in an even more sorry state. His hair was disheveled and his golden feather clothes were torn apart. The golden bead above his head had also shattered and the scattered golden light was greatly weakened. The green aura on Jin Qi's face was even thicker. It was obvious that the poison had deepened and his aura was much weaker than before. He unwillingly looked at the cave and didn't dare to stay. He rushed out. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.